coming up on Rhetorically Defective.
Calling the Native Americans there savages and calling them Uncle Tomahawks.
Damn, Uncle Tomahawk!
That's right.
That's Uncle Tom's! You're Uncle Tomahawk!
Paul Pelosi has been the one holding the hammer the entire time. You're thinking to yourself, Paul, why don't you use your other hand? Well, let me show you. How is it an own to say that there's Nazis in Ukraine? And Destiny's like, boom, got ya.
Like biolabs and Nazis in Ukraine, or like mRNA vaccines that are causing 20% excess deaths. There it is.
A bunch of babies made out of insects. Right, trailer park babies.
But the members of that group claim the high schoolers started the ordeal by mocking them.
Oh, well, we know how adult black men are. They just can't help themselves.
Being a guy who, at least from my point of view, launched an insurrection against the government. If you're on the left, should you admit to or concede to any of these things when you delusional, unhinged, cowardly, spineless won't even admit to what happened on January 6th?
They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th.
And unlike some folks who have justified riots based on the perspective of the rioters, if you're a criminal, you're a criminal, and you should go to jail. You should go to jail. And this was an attempted act of insurrection. I mean, technically speaking, that's what it was.
So Destiny's just lying. He's just singling out people and acting like that's representative of all conservatives, and no conservative ever pushed back about January 6th when they did. And in fact, one of the most popular voices on the right, Ben Shapiro, called it an insurrection.
心と行動に一点の曇りなし。全てが正義だ。ドジャーンドジャーンドジャーン一体何のつもりなんだ。遺体はこのバレンタインのことを好いて。
A community in mourning. Dozens of fire trucks formed a procession through Freeport, Pennsylvania to honor 50-year-old Corey Comparator, the retired firefighter and father who died shielding his family from gunfire at Saturday's rally.
Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy, Trump, the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. My mom and dad taught me around and find out as like a first principle of how to navigate the world. So if they ended up going to a rally like this, cheering for a insurrectionist dude or whatever, yeah, they deserve it 50 times over.
Is if somebody supports Trump or if they go to a Trump rally, then it's open season on them. Do I have you wrong there?
I wouldn't say it's open season. I'm just saying if happens, I mean, I don't know why anybody would have any sympathy.
Well, are you actually against people shooting Trump supporters at this point?
I think it's probably not a good idea, but I don't have any sympathy for it. I don't care.
Yeah, but Destiny, are you against women getting raped?
I think it's probably not a good idea, but I don't have any sympathy for it. I don't care.
Okay, Destiny, are you against the KKK murdering every single black person?
I think it's probably not a good idea, but I don't have any sympathy for it. I don't care.
Okay, Destiny, I'm gonna give you one more chance. Are you against Hitler coming back to life, getting all his boys back together, getting the crew back together, and rounding up every single So, it seems like we have an issue in this country where protected classes are protected and unprotected classes are not protected. For example, if you're a conservative, I guess you can kind of just say whatever you want about them, you can imply violence against them and like they deserve it. But if you replace the word conservative with a protected class, then it kind of sounds a little bit different. All of a sudden, the rhetoric sounds a little more violent. And I don't know if you realize this or not, but that's extremely fucking dangerous. Especially when our country is guided by politics about who is going to be in power. And when you're able to alienate an entire political party, that's probably going to raise tensions a lot. The streamer Destiny, as I showed you in the beginning, has turned his back on conservatives completely. And he's saying extremely inflammatory things that other people are just brushing off as a joke. Now, that wouldn't be so bad, but he's trying to memory hole the last 4 or 5 years of history in the United States. And I kind of just want to clear a few things up. I'm going to try and let him talk for as long as possible, but I might explode if I let his lies continue any longer. Let's see how he did on Piers Morgan.
So, on Saturday evening, hours after the shooting,
You said, let me clarify. When I say conflicted, what I mean is I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. You couldn't find it in your heart to chastise people for celebrating the near assassination of a man who was president of the United States and maybe again?
Absolutely not. Conservatives have completely bled that well dry. And the idea that they, after engaging in the most divisive and most extreme rhetoric that this country has seen in recent history.
Oh yeah, dude, the most divisive rhetoric like Make America Great Again and All Lives Matter. Why couldn't they have had unifying rhetoric like Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards? And then if you said all lives matter, the left would call you racist. Such nice messaging. They got so crazy during COVID, the CDC declared racism a serious public health threat and affects the health of our entire nation. There's nothing more divisive than race hustling constantly. Come on, buddy. Everything he's about to say about conservatives is 1,000% more true about the left. He can't believe in what he's saying.
In history, that they would come on and beg for sympathy, that it's escalated into some kind of violent confrontation is absolutely insane. Even the idea right now of saying, well, if you call somebody a Nazi for so long, it's, what do you expect people to do? I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh call Obama a communist every single day he was on the radio.
Oh my God, really? A public figure was calling the president a communist? I love how he didn't have like a more recent example, like Rush Limbaugh and Obama. Does your 15-year-old audience even know who Rush Limbaugh is? Do they even know what you're talking about, or are they just guided by your tone? What, are you gonna bring up Dylan Roof next in the Charlottesville? What about large news organizations colluding to defame a 16-year-old kid for wearing a MAGA hat? Think that might be a little different? Think that might be a little more polarizing? I need to show you how egregious this was. Let me walk you through the news coverage and then what actually happened, and how the media went out of their way to incite actual hatred and violence. Oh, they didn't say to do anything. Well, people took a certain message to be violent toward them. I'm sorry, not just regular people, celebrities wanted to physically harm this 16-year-old for smiling and wearing a MAGA hat.
People that are supposed to be adults were saying things like, this is the face of white patriarchy, this 16-year-old kid.
Or what Reza Aslan said.
Yeah, or Reza Aslan said, have you ever seen a more punchable face? Kathy Griffin was saying, I need names, shame him, dox him. How do these people not understand the implications of that?
I blame that f***ing kid. What a little smirk face.
The center of the firestorm, what critics characterize as a smirk on Sandman's face.
Mind you, this is under Trump's presidency. So this is what a Trump presidency looks like. Is while Trump is president, the media is going to harass your kids and incite violence against them. The real people that should be afraid of a Trump presidency is people on the right, because the media colludes to put them in danger.
Back, we are hearing now from the Catholic school teenager who was wearing that MAGA hat, caught on viral video in a bizarre stare down with a Native American elder. Now, there are a lot of layers to this story, a lot of video, a lot of eyewitness accounts. Here's what we know. The one thing all parties who are involved agree on is this. The entire incident started with a confrontation between the high school students and a small group of men called the Black Hebrew Israelites, a movement that the Southern Poverty Law Center calls militant, and who many witnesses say were goading both the Native Americans and the high schoolers, using profanity and racist language.
This is a bunch of future school shooters, a bunch of babies made out of insects. Right, trailer park babies.
But the members of that group claim the high schoolers started the ordeal by mocking them.
Oh, well, we know how adult black men are. They just can't help themselves. If a bunch of kids allegedly say something to you, then obviously you should return in kind by saying things that are racist and demeaning to them. Kind of treating these adult black men on a lower bar of behavior than the high school white kids, don't you think? But they are wearing MAGA hats, so it's okay. Not divisive.
It's a Native American elder. This is where the Native American elder comes in. He was coming from an Indigenous Peoples March, and he can be seen walking between the students and the protesters. Phillips said he wanted to defuse the situation, but felt threatened when the students surrounded him. According to Sandman, the students appear to not know what to make of Phillips when he stands in front of them. They start jumping and chanting with him, and then they clap. Phillips then comes face to face with 16-year-old high school student Nick Sandmann. The video shows him staring at Phillips for several minutes, smiling at first, but that fades at around the 2-minute mark. Now, while Sandmann has been the face of this controversy and the target of a lot of criticism online, we shouldn't lose sight of the actions of his classmates. There's video of some of them who appear to be doing what's called a tomahawk chop as Philip bangs his drum. There's also a lot of laughing and more school chanting.
So you might think doing the tomahawk chant, as funny as it is, it's pretty bad optically. Well, something that's funnier and even worse optically is when the black Hebrew Israelite was calling the Native Americans there savages and calling them Uncle Tomahawks.
A few yards away were 5 black men who identified as Hebrew Israelites. This known hate group was already preaching racial slurs at indigenous marchers.
You're not supposed to worship eagles, buffaloes,
that's right,
rams,
right.
all types of animals.
That's right.
This is the reason why the Lord took away your land. Indian means savage. You know where that name came from? You know where that name came from? It came from the so-called white man. Indian means savage, brother. I don't know where you got that from. Look it up, brother.
You nigga. Get your old Uncle Tom ass out of here.
That's the damn Uncle Tomahawk.
That's right.
That's Uncle Tom's. You're Uncle Tomahawk.
But MSDNC doesn't have the black Hebrew Israelites on. They want Nick Sandmann, the white 16-year-old wearing a MAGA hat, to apologize to the Native American man that was banging a drum in his face.
Sandmann says he wishes that he just walked away, but doesn't think he owes anyone an apology.
Do you see your own fault in any way?
As far as standing there, I had every right to do so. My position is that I was not disrespectful to Mr. Phillips. I respect him. I'd like to talk to him. I mean, in hindsight, I wish we could have walked away and avoided the whole thing. But I can't say that I'm sorry for listening to him and standing there.
Tribal elder Nathan Phillips has told the Today Show the students should face some consequences.
Instead of being expelled, that the students should go through some kind of sensitivity training. That they should cultural education of some kind. And if they don't, then don't graduate.
All right, Squanto, let me show everybody what was actually happening there and what the adult black men were saying to the white kids and to the Native Americans. And let's ask ourselves if it's divisive as to how the news didn't show this in their coverage and why this white kid should have to apologize to an adult after these things were said to him and his classmates.
Bring y'all crack ass up here and make a statement. Tell them come over here in the lion's den. You little dirty ass crackers, your day coming.
Without incident, the boys returned to their group, which was expanding as more students arrived at their meeting spot. The Israelites did not stop.
On the back of your dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust," but you give faggots rights. The Bible condemns homosexuality, man.
They're still humans.
This is a bunch of future school shooters.
How you gonna tell somebody to go to shoot up a school? That's like really rude, bro. That's racist, bro.
So on top of everything else, the white kids that were wearing MAGA hats were against slurs against gay people because they're still humans. We don't agree with their lifestyle, but they're still human beings. And calling out the racism from the black men screaming at them. Okay.
There was a group of over 200 young, angry white men, and they were facing down just 4 black individuals. And it was coming to a point where a snap of the finger could have caused them kids to descend on those 4 individuals.
What the hell is going on here? Now this is a peace circle? Ain't gonna be no peace until blood is shed. Why you being mean? Get out!
When I went in front of that mob and what appeared to be their prey, all that hate and anger transferred to me. And the images were the same images that I seen on the folks that were doing the lynchings, and the scorns and the scowls that were on the pictures there. That's what these young people's faces look like.
I'm sorry, dude, but you know how black people are like, existing while black? This is black Hebrew Israelites and a Native American activist who were getting trashed by the black Hebrew Israelites, ignoring all of that and focusing all of their hate onto white kids for existing while white and creating a lying. It's incredible how this Native American man knew just to hate the white people and that was going to get him the most attention. It's incredible how he knew that, and their kids, and then Nick Sandmann at 16 it makes national news, and he has to go on camera, and he's expected to apologize under Trump's America.
Nothing justifies what the Covington students did, and I take it that Nick Sandmann's interview this morning didn't change your mind.
No, it didn't, because at the very end, after walking readers through various videos that I had watched, including one that was put out there an hour and 46 minutes long, taped by the black Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, so he's confirming that he saw the footage I just showed you.
The ultimate point I was making was respect for your elders was something that was drummed into me at home. As a child, I would know it was my responsibility and duty to move out of the way because this is someone who is older than me and I'm supposed to accord respect to my elders. And so that's what has bothered me through this entire situation, because when she gave him the opportunity to just say, I'm sorry, I should have moved out of the way.
I mean, what is your response to people who say, you know what? A lot is being made of kids doing something dumb.
Okay, I have several responses. That kind of response only works if the kids in question are white. Jordan Davis would still be alive. He was shot and killed when he was 17 because his music was too loud. Tamir Rice would still be alive, but he was shot and killed at 12 years old.
They have a black classmate, and the black men there were telling him that he's gonna get his organs stolen from his white classmates.
When you get old enough, they're gonna steal your organs.
Whoa, hey, why you being mean? Hey, we love you, kid. Hey, we love you.
Hate to burst your bubble there, other adult black man. So, white kid smiles wearing a MAGA hat, national news story, they're threatened, white supremacy, even though they have a black classmate that was also harassed. But Rush Limbaugh called Obama a communist!
Got COVID lockdowns that were done because the government was trying to take all your freedom away. They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th.
I fucking can't. I'm never getting through this video. So, Destiny's had a giant boner for January 6th being an insurrection.
We are looking at a decent chance of the next president being a guy who, at least from my point of view, launched an insurrection against the government. If you're on the left, should you admit to or concede to any of these things when you delusional, unhinged, cowardly, spineless won't even admit to what happened on January 6th? No, you deserve to be condescended to. My country is having a ex-insurrectionist, okay, try to run for president, and you support him. So no, I think it's okay for me to be highly critical of how you get units, and you don't know anything about it, but you have a strong opinion about it. I don't understand where you people come from.
Sounds pretty compelling, doesn't it? Well, what if I told you that someone more popular than some random person on X, I don't know, like Ben Shapiro, condemned and disavowed the behavior of January 6th on January 7th. So the next day he condemned the behavior and he called it an insurrection on an episode titled The Worst Day in Modern Political History.
Is inexcusable, unjustifiable, awful on every level, disgusting on every level. Just terrible, terrible. When you have rioters taking over the U.S. Capitol building, the seat of American democracy, and when you have those rioters saying that they are doing so in the name of the President of the United States, and when you have them doing that to the legislative branch of the government, and when you have those people, they are rioters, they are not protesters, okay? As soon as you commit an act of vandalism or violence, you are no longer in the category of protester, you are now a rioter. And unlike some folks who have justified riots based on the perspective of the rioters, if you're a criminal, and you should go to jail. You should go to jail. And this was an attempted act of insurrection. I mean, technically speaking, that's what it was.
So Destiny's just lying. He's just singling out people and acting like that's representative of all conservatives, and no conservative ever pushed back about January 6th when they did. And in fact, one of the most popular voices on the right, Ben Shapiro, called it an insurrection. Everything he's been saying about Hassan and Vosh is just now what he is. He's Destinabi at this point. He's just propagandizing his base, completely false lies just to radicalize them to hate the other side. That's all he's doing. It's pathetic. He's trying to tell people never make a concession to a conservative, when Ben Shapiro probably made the best concession possible the day after, and instead of even using that concession against him, this is why this is dangerous and frustrating. Instead of even using that concession against him, he's gonna act like Ben Shapiro never ever made that concession and no conservatives ever made a concession, while telling you should never make a concession because they would never make a concession. That's what's fucking gross. Never make a concession to Jews because you know how they are and they would never do that for you. Never make a concession to black people because you know how they are and you know what they would do to you. It's weird. For the past 10 years, you've been allowed to say whatever you want about conservatives, where people don't even realize that if you plug in a trans person there, that all of a sudden it sounds hateful and dangerous and violent, but you can't sound violent against right-wingers. That's the issue.
Like, I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go out and kill anybody. But when you engage in this type of rhetoric and when you turn the temperature up over and over and over and over again, there is absolutely no room for you to be shocked or surprised. And there certainly isn't room for you to ask for sympathy.
But Destiny, you say you don't want anybody killed, and yet you say, I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt to chastise people celebrating it. People celebrating the near assassination of Donald Trump. If you can't find it in you to chastise people who do that, aren't you just as despicable as the people you've just spent the last 2 minutes haranguing?
No, because they've led the way. This is the environment that they've created.
So you think behaving like the people you think are despicable is the correct course of action?
Not about behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing.
How many times have you had a conversation with someone on the left about, I don't know, trans kids, for example, and the dialogue tree goes, it's not happening, but if it is happening, it's okay. Like, they can't admit that there was actual top surgery being done on 15-year-olds at Boston Children's Hospital. And then they act like they're being attacked when that fact is said and proven to be true. So this is what's so nefarious about this. I just showed you that Ben Shapiro made a concession and called it an insurrection the day after it happened. No matter what concession you make, no matter how reasonable you are, he's gonna act like you're as extreme as him. That's politically dangerous. That's the issue that a lot of people are having, but they're not articulating. Because he's a sneaky guy.
How many times as a liberal, how many times as a liberal have you been on a show, not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence and blah, blah, blah. And then you talk to conservatives about it. January 6th,
violence,
that was
that's
a false
good.
flag.
Yeah.
January 6th. Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it. It's so easy.
He's so unhinged and his points are so bad that he has to point to Dave Rubin as like, see, that's why you shouldn't listen to any conservative, while ignoring Ben Shapiro. Just call it an insurrection. But no, since randoms and X spaces don't have the answer he wants, and since Dave Rubin tries to add context to the answer, because they're both not the same situation, that's why you should never listen to conservatives. Because of Dave Rubin. Like how Hassan has a crusade against capitalism, Destiny is just using that exact formula to put that against Trump. Trump is capitalism. He has nothing else besides that. He has nothing else but hollow rhetoric and sophistry. That's it. Let me start just substituting different groups in place of conservatives to see if we feel a little differently.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy. Fuck
Yahweh.
Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a Jewish fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am. 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Destiny.
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
The hand wringing. No, it absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
No, but Destiny, let me explain to you.
Black people
can say anything.
No, I'm not a conservative.
They can have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do any of these, and then
whites
are supposed to sit here and be like, "Oh my God, it's so tragic."
No, Destiny.
Absolutely not.
Let me explain.
Absolutely.
Let me explain my position because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did. You'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury at how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead, that he deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was president of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Destin, and I'm sorry, that makes you, frankly, despicable.
I don't think I'm gleeful about anything. I don't think anybody should die. I don't think anybody deserves to die. But you want to talk about gleeful? Look at the conservative response to Pelosi's husband when they broke in.
I can answer that.
Mainstream media figures
I can answer that.
I don't care.
Let me just break that last part down in a couple of pieces.
I don't think I'm gleeful about anything.
This is how an emotionless, manipulative person speaks. You would say you're not gleeful. You would know the emotion you're feeling and know that you're not feeling that, so you would say, I'm not gleeful. But he goes, I don't think I'm gleeful. Like, you're happy that person's dead. I don't think I'm happy they're dead. You see how there's like plausible deniability where he doesn't say he doesn't have that emotion? So it's the difference between I don't want him to die and I don't think I want him to die.
I don't think anybody should die. I don't think anybody deserves to die. But you want to talk about gleeful? Look at the conservative response to Pelosi's husband when they broke in.
I can answer that.
Mainstream media figures
I can answer that.
I don't care.
I love that whenever you're talking to a person on the left about January 6th, if you bring up Black Lives Matter and the months of riots that happened before, during, and after, like, they want to talk about January 6th in a vacuum, as if there wasn't violent riots before, during, and after January 6th. That's a deflection. That has nothing to do with January 6th. But when there's an assassination attempt on Trump, he can just deflect to Paul Pelosi as if it's equivalent.
The big story over the weekend continued to be the fallout from what appeared to be a criminal hammer attack on the husband of Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi. Time magazine had a rundown of exactly what happened. Apparently, according to Time magazine, this would have been on Friday morning. Scott said the police chief announced that witnesses on the scene described a man in his underwear who was violently attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer.
No one is allowed to find that phrase funny, that a crazy guy in his underwear was hitting him with a hammer. That's a little bit different than a guy standing at a political rally and gets shot when someone tries to kill a running former president. So let's clear this up once and for all. Here's what happened with Nancy Pelosi's husband.
October. San Francisco Police 74. 2022.
Oh, I guess I called by mistake. What is it?
18 seconds. This is San Francisco Police. Do you need help?
Oh, well, there's a gentleman here just waiting for my wife to come back. Nancy Pelosi.
2:23 and
he's just waiting for her to come back because she's not going to be here for a day, so I guess we'll have to wait.
Already might make you feel different about what happened. That's kind of strange. Don't quite know how to feel about the situation right now. He wants to talk to Nancy Pelosi, but she's going to be gone for a day, so I guess we'll have to just sit here and wait. Sorry to laugh. It's not funny.
0. Okay, do you need police, fire, or medical for anything? 8 seconds.
I don't think so. Is the Capitol Police around?
2:20. No, this is San
Francisco. They usually protect my wife. They're usually here at the house protecting my wife. No. This gentleman just came into the house, and he wants to wait here for my wife to come home.
0, 2,
and so
4 and 48.
Anyway, he told me to put the phone down.
Do you know who the person is?
No, I don't know who he is. He has this. He's telling me not to. He's telling me not to do anything. Anyway, this gentleman says that he thinks everything ought to. He's telling me to put the phone down and just do what he says.
18 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. What's the gentleman's name?
I don't know. What's that? My name's David. The name is David.
Okay, and who is David?
I don't know. What's that? I'm a friend of theirs. Yeah, he says he's a friend, but as I said, I've never.
But you don't know who he is?
No, ma'am.
48 seconds. Okay.
He's telling me I'm being very leading, so I got to stop talking to you, okay?
25 and okay. You sure I can stay on the phone with you just to make sure everything's okay?
No, he wants me to get that off the phone.
0, 2, 26
okay.
and 0, 8
Thank you.
seconds. Okay, bye.
Okay, that wasn't too funny. That was more confusing. Let's see what happens when the police got there.
Literally sitting there. Hi. Guys. How you doing?
How are you?
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope.
Hey.
What is going on right now?
I'm not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit.
Let me walk you through some things that might be funny in this situation. Who opened the door? Everyone's hands are full when the door opens.
Hi. Guys. How you doing?
How are you?
Hi.
Guys.
How you doing?
How are you?
What's going on, man?
The attacker smiles, hi. Then Paul smiles, hello.
Drop the hammer.
Nope.
Drop the hammer. Nope. That could be a laugh.
Drop the hammer.
Nope.
Paul Pelosi has been the one holding the hammer the entire time. You're thinking to yourself, Paul, why don't you use your other hand? Well, let me show you.
Hey.
What is going on?
He's holding a fucking drink in his hand. Listen, dude, you're married to Nancy. You gotta knock a few back, alright? I understand that, trust me. But there's kind of a dire situation here right now. This guy wants to hit you in the head with a hammer. You don't seem like you're afraid. You barely seem like you care. And you won't even put your own drink down. Ooh, it's a little different, wouldn't you say?
I'm not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit.
Very weird situation. Not cut and dry. To this day, we don't have a lot of answers. Now let's try to compare this with the assassination attempt on Donald Trump and how a nearby Trump supporter caught a stray and it killed him in front of his daughter.
Did you see, sir?
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around, was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter there. Oh, no. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him.
Compurator was a 30-year veteran firefighter and former chief. He died shielding his wife and daughters. The station now reeling from the loss.
And so where's the comedy in that? It's almost like the jokes from the left are just fueled by hatred of their political opponents. And so they enjoy indirectly justifying violence against their political opponents. I guess that's a little different than Paul Pelosi, who refused to put his drink down, who had the hammer in his hand, got hit by the hammer. A lot of things he could have done there. There's a lot more factors there. What did this guy do wrong? He went to a Trump rally. He believes the wrong things. And what do we do with people that believe the wrong things, class? We say, they don't deserve to die, but we feel nothing when they die.
Allegations that because DePape was in his underwear and Paul Pelosi was apparently in his underwear, that this was some sort of nefarious gay plot. This was being implied by a bunch of people online. The evidence for that, so far as I'm aware, does not exist at this point, considering that DePape is a famously crazy nude activist. So the idea that he would be in his underwear is not particularly shocking. And Paul Pelosi, again, was in his home, and it was 2:30 in the morning. So if he was in his boxers or something at 2:30 in the morning, that, again, is not a particular shock. There was also a lot of speculation about what exactly Paul Pelosi was saying on a phone call to 911, because the dispatchers were saying that that Paul Pelosi was saying, there's a man here named David, and he's my friend. And so the implication from a lot of folks was, well, if he's a friend, then what's he doing at your home attacking with a hammer? Like, what's the story here?
Perfectly reasonable coverage, but since other people online were making fun of Paul Pelosi, that's all conservatives. Not like one of the largest voices in the conservative movement. That's not conservatives. And then as Destiny and his fans are being pieces of shit, they're like, they would have been pieces of shit, so we get to be pieces of shit when they weren't pieces of shit. Have you seen what they're saying about Trump's assassination attempt days after? That's how Ben Shapiro covered the Paul Pelosi attack. Let me show you what they're saying about Trump's assassination attempt. Like, it's staged, it wasn't a bullet, glass hit his ear. Joy Reid on MSNBC said it's the same exact thing as Biden getting COVID. She's not a random on X. This is what the largest voices on the left are coping with. Do you really think you're edgy if you agree with these people, Destiny stands? You're on the same side as these mainstream clucking yentas, and you also think you're counterculture?
But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
So presumably you would unreservedly condemn the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, because that's one of the most egregious attacks on American democracy of modern times. Presumably,
I don't think that
you will
anybody
take
should
this
be
opportunity,
trying to-
given you
Yeah, I
are
don't
so
think anybody-
determined to protect the integrity of democracy, you would find it absolutely outrageous that someone has tried to assassinate a president, right?
If the other conservatives on this show want to say that it was absolutely outrageous
No, I'm
that Donald
asking
Trump
you.
attempted to coup the government,
I'm asking
then,
you.
then maybe I would. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness or show sympathy to conservatives.
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't. No, I won't. I won't.
You can't do that. You see,
Not
so
even.
why the hell,
Absolutely
frankly,
not.
Destiny,
Absolutely not.
why the
Absolutely
hell
not.
should we listen to
Absolutely
a
not.
word you have to say
Wait, hold
about...
on. Why do you think conservatives haven't been listening to a word that liberals have said about anything for 8 years?
Right,
What do you
but
think
why
is going to
should
change?
they?
You think
But
that if
here's my
liberals
point,
come out
Destiny.
now and they go, what an
You are
insurrectionist?
not the person you want these other people to be. And all you do is play whataboutery with every question I give you. And I'm just startled.
It's not what about it. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the temperature of this country. But here's a question for the two panelists. What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric? What do they think the answer to that question is?
What kind of question is that even? But I'll tell you this, the left sure seems to have a lot of fake hate crimes that they commit against themselves. So it seems like they want the rhetoric to be worse than it actually is, since they're faking hate crimes. What could your motivation be for that? The supply is not meeting up with the demand.
What percentage could it be that the other side, as we've just heard from Dave Rubin, has spent 8 years calling Donald Trump the new Adolf Hitler, a person who was responsible for the murder of 12 million people, including 6 million Jewish people in a Holocaust? Last time I checked, Donald Trump hasn't murdered 12 million people. So much as you would like him to be the new Hitler, he's not. But again, to an impressionable young deranged mind who has easy access to guns, that can be easily interpreted as an existential threat, said President Biden. Somebody that needs to be put in the bullseye, said Biden.
Okay,
only last week. And guess what? Guess what? Somebody then comes forward and tries to kill the existential threat.
Rhetoric?
This wouldn't be treated the same if it was a Jewish person that was considered an existential threat and all of their followers. Doesn't matter if you kill them. Not that they deserve it. It just doesn't really matter. If it's a black person, if it's a trans person, and they're an existential threat, you can only call conservatives an existential threat and not encourage people to kill them, but be fine when they get slaughtered. That's the issue. The whole protected classes thing makes it so other classes are not protected. That's the issue here. That's the failure of protected classes. And a lot of what people are doing is retaliatory, because this would never stand coming from a conservative. It's the double standard that's pissing people off.
First off, politics is downstream from culture, right? And what has happened to our culture in the last 8 years? What has happened to our culture is that the mainstream media has lied about everything, always to the detriment of right-leaning people, whether it is the Russia hoax or COVID or Brett Kavanaugh's a serial rapist or the Covington kids are racist or Jussie Smollett was lynched or whether it was very fine people on both sides. Every single lie always goes against right-leaning people. So they are slightly annoyed and distrustful of people like you and other people in mainstream media who lie about literally everything. So perhaps
literally
their
everything,
empathy,
like biolabs and Nazis in Ukraine, or like mRNA vaccines that are causing 20% excess deaths. There it is.
How is it an own to say that there's Nazis in Ukraine? And Destiny's like, boom, got ya.
Like biolabs and Nazis in Ukraine, or like mRNA vaccines that are causing 20% excess deaths. There it is.
Is he claiming that's misinformation? This is what kills me right now. Destiny, just 6 months ago, has a video that says you can't just shoot right-wingers, and he's been battling misinformation on the left for years when it came to Kyle Rittenhouse. He's been very open about the fact that the stochastic terrorist rhetoric from the left directly led to the civil unrest and the riots and the burning of buildings in Kenosha that drew Kyle Rittenhouse there.
Ideological narratives don't even bother to look at the facts of the case. The reason why 2 people are dead in the Rittenhouse riots is directly because of people like you that stoke the flames and get people upset about policing in the United States over cases where the police were 100% in the right. You are engaging in a form of stochastic terrorism when you were on here stoking these flames. The guy that had already had an outstanding warrant for like 3rd-degree sexual assault, that had already penetrated his ex-girlfriend with his fucking finger, that had showed up at his house to steal her fucking car and her fucking children, okay? When he was on his way out, the police got a call, they showed up, they wrestled with the guy, they tried to tase him 2 times, okay? The guy managed to get away from the cops and was running towards the car that had the keys in it, had a knife in the passenger seat that multiple people testified to, and I think had children in the back seat. Finally, the cops fired on this guy when he got in the seat and tried to drive away. That's what happened, okay? This is the Jacob Blake incident.
Jacob Blake shot 7 times in the back in broad daylight.
The reason why 2 people are dead in the Rittenhouse riots is directly because of people like you.
In front of his 3 young sons.
The guy that had already had an outstanding warrant for like 3rd-degree sexual assault, that had already penetrated his ex-girlfriend with his fucking finger.
7 times in the back.
They wrestled with the guy, they tried to tase him 2 times, okay? The guy managed to get away from the cops and was running towards the car that had the keys in it, had a knife in the passenger seat that multiple people testified to, and I think had children in the back seat. Finally, the cops fired on this guy when he got in the seat and tried to drive away.
In broad daylight, in front of his 3 young sons. It's sickening to watch. It's all too familiar. And it must end.
That stoke the flames and get people upset about policing in the United States over cases where the police were 100% in the right. You are engaging in a form of stochastic terrorism.
So according to Destinabi, the left and Democrats are directly responsible for the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting because they engaged in stochastic terrorism by stoking flames about cases where police were 100% justified in their shooting. This is why his shift in behavior bothers me, because now he's puking this rhetoric.
Or yeah, of course, like come on, dude. Conservatives are masters of misinformation and it's happening right here.
Because all of a sudden, once his team looks like they're gonna lose, he goes into full polarizing communist tactics. He's rewriting history. He's unjustifiably projecting his behavior onto his political opposition. And he's radicalizing his base to feel nothing when their political opponents are slaughtered. So I'll leave you with that. I don't care about Destiny's lifestyle. At all whatsoever. I don't give a What I care about is him mobilizing his juvenile audience to dehumanize their political opposition when they're killed. It seems like most people have forgotten his content in the past few years, but don't worry everybody. He's on a crusade, and believe it or not, I've been watching him for 8 years. I'll see something he says, and I'll remember exactly when he contradicted himself and felt differently 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. I'm gonna keep debunking this annoying little shrew. Have a good one.